Do you remember those bridges that you would go over and they would bounce as you went on them? This is the bridge that we always took to church when the kids were young, and now that they are adults, they have upgraded it and there's no bounce left. Hi everyone, I'm Bonita from Pennies to Dollars, and welcome to my channel where we talk about frugal living, saving money, cutting expenses, and living your best life on less. So I've had a few people reach out to me and say that they are struggling, even if they are debt-free, childless, living in an apartment, close to work, all of those things. So we're going to talk today about finding some bounce in your budget. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, the definition of bounce is to rebound from an impact. And I think we're all feeling the impact of inflation. So we're going to talk today about a few of the ways that I have found over my life to bring in extra money and to find ways to save money even in retirement. I have been jobless since the end of October when I decided to take an early retirement. I have no pension. I have no Social Security, none of those things, because I am too young to draw any of that, and I chose to retire at the age of 57. So I'm going to talk today about ways that I save money day to day. Let's get started. Moving can be really costly. A lot of people don't like to move just because of the hassle of it. A lot of people's rents are going up. And you have to have rental insurance a lot of times at apartments. You have to pay pet fees. Not only do you have to pay pet deposits, but now sometimes you even have to pay monthly just to have a pet. Many people are choosing to move outside of the city in our area. We have all kinds of little home populations cropping up all over the place in fields, about 30 minutes or so outside of the city. A lot of people are choosing to move into some of the smaller towns outside of the city, some that have died out or are unincorporated, and many people are choosing just to make that extra drive. Now, if you live in a very populated area, just 30 minutes outside of the city can add an hour to your drive time. But in our state, it doesn't. It only adds about an extra mile per minute. So it's very doable. And many people have trouble meeting the requirements of apartment living, 3 times the amount of the rent. So sometimes a cosigner is needed. Some of the advantages to moving outside of the city and having that extra commute time can be that you don't have a pet fee if you can buy something. Sometimes you can buy a house that's older, maybe 50 years or so older, and you can fix it up, or you can do without so many of the modern amenities. You can have a yard, you can have a place that you can grow vegetables, have your pets in an area that they can actually get some outdoor time without worrying about the neighbors, and lower property taxes. So we're finding that that is becoming very popular in where we live. There are so many homes popping up in some of these field areas that they're starting to look like their own little cities. When my kids went to college, dorms were so expensive and apartments were so much cheaper that I filled out waiver forms for each of them to live in their own apartment rather than live in the dorms, and they were all approved to live in the apartments. And then I co-signed for them since they didn't have credit history, since they didn't make 3 times the amount of the rent, so that they could live there. Now, co-signing has some risk that goes with it. Not everyone will co-sign for you, but there may be situations where you need to live somewhere or you need to find housing and you don't make 3 times the amount of rent, but you do have income and you can pay the rent. So doing that is an option to get into a place to have housing. If you have someone that trusts you and will work with you to help you get housing. So I'm going to share with you some of the ways that I have saved money just in the last couple of weeks. I stack deals. I have talked about this a little bit before, but I'm going to give you some examples of the deals I stacked just in the last couple of weeks. I went to Target. I rarely shop there, but there was something that I wanted from their grocery section. They have a Target Circle app. and I downloaded coupons for 5% off my total sale price. There was another one for 10% off my total sale price. I was able to use both. And then if you use your Target debit card that goes directly to your checking account, you get another 5% off. So when I checked out, I got 20% off of my purchases that were already on sale. And then I got $2 back on Ibotta and another $1 back on my Inbox Dollars app. So I got a really great deal, and look at all of those deals that I stacked. Now, some people say this is just too hard, but really, once you get the hang of it, it's easy. And it's not only easy, it is really fun to see how many deals you can stack. Now, I needed to order cat food this week, and I used Chewy. The link is in my description box if you're interested in signing up with them for USA or Canada. But I like to spend about 90 cents or less a pound for cat food. They will deliver free to my door for $49 order. And it's hard for me to lift cat food, so I like to have it come to my door if possible. But they had a $15 off coupon they emailed me. Then I also got a 25% off promo code at checkout and another 4% back on my Capital One when I used my Capital One cashback card. So I got cat food for 55 cents a pound. That is a fantastic deal and right to my door. I also take advantage of my Discover credit card 5% back. Every quarter that will change and you have to activate the code. Now for this quarter, it was 5% back if you used it to get gas. And we brought the camper back from Texas. So I used my Discover card for 5% back for gas. If I stop at Love's and use my Love's app, I get an additional 10 cents off per gallon. And sometimes Love's is on my Upside app where I also get cash back. So I always check if I can stack an Upside app with a Discover 5% cash back. And I also can do that at Dillon's. Sometimes Dillon's is on my Upside app. I also get Dillon's fuel points that I can stack, and I can use my Discover card for another 5% back. And so I have been stacking all of my gas fill-ups this quarter. This next quarter is going to be Walmart and grocery stores. So I always make a mental note of which card is going to give me the best cash back for what I'm using it for. And when I check and Discover has 5% back like that, this next quarter, I'm going to be buying everything with my Discover card to get cash back towards my grocery purchases, which will help with my grocery budget. I know some of you have reached out to me and told me that you don't have anywhere to grow anything to help with your food budget. Now, I have a plant stand behind me. It goes all year round. I grow onions, lettuce, celery, green onions. I put bok choy over there. It's growing from scraps right now. And this is a south window. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the direction you think it's supposed to be to get enough sun. But I have a south window. I have windows in my bedroom. I've grown tomatoes there in the winter time, and it's on the east side. So choose a window, maybe even in a bedroom, on a nightstand or something, or see if you can put a table next to a window if you have any windows, and try to grow some things if you don't have a patio or a way to do it outside in a pot. I think it's so important, just even for our mental status, to have some green things growing back here and some fresh things growing. I know it does wonders for my mood. Also, if you have any money in savings or any money stuck back, be sure and check with your bank periodically and see what their interest rates are and see if they've changed. I like to check with my bank from time to time. A lot of you know I've had my money in a money market savings slash checking type of account for quite a while. It had really good interest. Well, now the interest rates are falling again. And when I checked the other day, it was only 0.75% interest, and their savings was 0.13, which is horrible. And that's at our local bank. But they were nice enough to say, hey, we have a special going on right now, because they want to keep your money at their bank. It's a 9-month CD with 5.13% interest. So you can bet this next week I'm going to be moving some money into those CDs to maximize the income on the interest for those over the next 9 months. And then I have spent a lot of my life flipping around, doing some odd jobs on vacation days that I have. If I had some vacation time, I would take off and I would work some of these odd jobs. I had a substitute teacher certificate where I could work on days that I had off from my regular job. I also did mystery shopping, where I went into banks or restaurants, convenience stores, apartment buildings, and pretended to be a shopper, filled out a report, and got paid. I also was a security person with my husband in an apartment that we were in Dallas. That was a wild ride, let me tell you. But they gave us free rent to be their security couple, and we would go out when there was calls or disputes and got free rent that way for quite some time. I also worked as a receptionist. I mowed their grass and I cleaned the office on the weekends. I took vacation days to work the election board. I'm doing that again this year in retirement. I had one town that I worked in that at 5 o'clock on Friday, anybody could set up on Main Street and sell stuff. People sold baked goods. People sold woodworking, all kinds of things. No fee, just set up on the sidewalk for about an hour. I sold Avon. So I would set up a booth at 5 o'clock on Friday nights to make extra money. I've also done craft sales, and I took my Avon stuff and set up booths on a Saturday, sometimes around Christmas. I would get some good sales that way for some extra money. So there are lots of ways besides many of the ones that we hear on the internet that require a lot of IT and technical experience to be able to make extra money. There are some things like that on the side that we can do. If you can sew, those craft fairs are also really great. When I was at the 55 and over park, about once a month, they had a craft sale, and anybody could come and set up a booth and sell their stuff that they made. So don't just look at your one job or your one job and your part-time job. I, a lot of times, would work one job and 2 part-time, or one job and a couple of side gigs. I had a lot of stuff going all of the time, and it helped me quite a bit on bringing in some extra money. I also use a lot of those rebates in my description box, just taking pictures of my receipts to get extra cash. Just in June, I've already got an extra $15 just from taking pictures of receipts. So think about doing some of these and adding them into your routine. And yes, I hear from people they can be tedious. Well, not having money and not being able to pay your bills, heck, that's really tedious. That's really stressful. I'd rather take some pictures of some receipts than not be able to pay a bill. So you have to decide for yourself what is worth your trouble. What is worth it? How desperate are you? How bad is your situation? Is another $15 going to help you in some way? And many times for a lot of us, $15 is a half a tank of gas. It can be helpful. So these are some of the ways that I have used to save money and make more money when I was working a full-time job already. So we can all change our mindsets, and we can either choose to do something to try to bounce that budget and make it better on ourselves, or we can have the mindset of, I have to do this to save money. Either way, you get the end result, But if you choose to and you make it into a game and you make it kind of fun and you track your progress and you see the difference that it's making, it can inspire you to find other ways to save money. And finally, top suggestion, if you're not tracking every penny that you're spending, please try that for at least a week, 2 weeks, or a month. That again sounds tedious, but it is so insightful. You will see where your money's being spent. You will see if all of those areas you've been spending money are really necessary. And if you have to write it down each time, sometimes you think about, do I really want to spend it? Because then I got to write it down. I know I've already spent that budget this month. Should I really be buying this right now? Some of those things can add up quicker than you even think you're spending. And once you write that stuff down, you will see how much you're really spending in different categories and if your budget is even on track. And then maybe after you've done it for a week or two, it will put you in the pattern of thinking a little bit more before you spend something, or knowing where you're spending extra money. It'll help you. And I found once I did it for a week or 2 weeks or a month, I decided it was so helpful that I continued to do it. I didn't do it for most of my life. This is something I've only started in about the last 2 years, since I really wanted to see if I could live on the budget that I had set for myself in retirement. I decided to start tracking that to see if I was even in the ballpark. And it has been so helpful that I've continued to do it. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If there's anything else that you guys can think of that you would like for me to do topics on, please put them in the comments below. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for being here today. And the best help that you can give this channel is to give me a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe and stick around. I hope to see you soon.